Well, Eddie did a great job of warming you up, your formula B4U, YU equals the sale. I want to talk to you today about a new acronym and also how that acronym influences your opportunity to leverage a Googlized consumer. And when we talk about a Googlized consumer, I'm talking about someone who has a Google account. 550,000 Android mobile devices are activated a day. Over 500,000 a day, all with Gmail accounts. There's a tsunami of Google-empowered consumers. And from what I can tell in this room, because I went through the attendee list and I looked at all your websites and search results, and there doesn't seem to be many of you, or one of you, that I could see that is leveraging the Googlized consumer. So today, if you thought it cost you money to be out of the dealership, you're wrong. This is truly an investment today. Because I think what I'm going to show you today and then later in my workshop will have tens of thousands for some of you larger groups, hundreds of thousands, and your largest in the state, millions of dollars, and no one told you about it. Now, it's the same result I get when I travel the country. Brian, how come my consultant didn't tell me? How come my website vendor haven't told me these things? And the answer is the market is changing so quickly. Events like this summit are the only ways you can really stay connected. So would you take out your cellular phones, please? I know most of you are ADD, ADHD. You know, you can't be far from your mobile phone. How many of you sleep with your mobile phone near the bedstand? Pretty crazy, right? That means mobile devices probably have the most effective way of reaching you. So now that you do this, go ahead and text PCG webinars to 75674 or PCG tips to the same number. The PCG tips is if you want to know when Google makes a change or there's a big shift in digital marketing, you want to be the first to know. The PCG tips group will get that. And then we do free webinars throughout the year. And if you want to invite your team in a conference room to get strategy and insights, of course, you may hold off until you think, I know what I'm talking about. So a little bit about PCG this past year at NADA. Driving sales, one of the top-rated social media and communities, rated PCG, top-rated SEO company, SEM company, and I was rated top internet trainer. We were really pleased to be named in the September issue, this month's issue of Inc. magazine, as the 192nd fastest-growing private company in the United States. Very excited about that, and it's because our commitment is to help our customers really understand ways to leverage their digital strategy. Someone said, well, Brian, aren't you like an investment advisor? I'm like, never really thought about it, but it's really true. We're teaching dealers and businesses how to better invest their advertising and marketing budgets. So I want to move to a new acronym, ZMOT. There's a free book. It's available on the Kindle. It's available as a PDF. It's available for your iPad. I would like to make the suggestion that there is no reason why everyone in this room shouldn't understand this book completely. It's a short and free book. Matter of fact, every person in your organization should read this book. It's powerful, simple, easy to read, and I'm going to take just a few minutes to introduce this and hopefully get some lights going in your mind. So we're going to talk about first moment of truth. Procter & Gamble introduced this in 2005, and here's the basic idea of traditional advertising. There was some stimulus, radio, TV, or print, brought someone into the store, and it was the detergent aisle. And there's 10 different brands of detergent, and the first moment of truth for Procter & Gamble would be that the stimulus, when they were in the store, prompted them to pull the Procter & Gamble brand. And then when they went back home and used the detergent and their laundry was super white and clean and smelled so lovely, that they would tell their friends about it. First moment of truth, they made the decision in the store based on some traditional stimulus. I like to say that this is what the traditional model for many car dealers has been. I've traveled around the country. I see what dealers are spending on traditional and digital, and basically radio, TV, cable, newspaper. And the first moment of truth could be they walk into the dealership, they call you, they chat with you, but there is some contact. And of course, the second moment of truth is when they purchase the car, they drive it, they come back and experience your service, and they tell their friends about it. That has primarily been how the car business and advertising and marketing has been designed. But there's something now called the zero moment of truth. And Eddie referred to that with the before you, why you equals the sale. This before you is so important. And that is the zero moment of truth. Here are some examples of zero moments of truth. All of you have done this. Last year, before the, not this past spring digital dealer, before that, there was a huge snowstorm in New Jersey. And not only were we a vendor and speaking at the conference, we were doing an event prior to it. And we had a lot of people coming, and Newark Airport closed down. So we had no choice but to gather the team into an Escalade and say, we're driving through the blizzard down to Florida. Everyone looked like me crazy. Well, we did it because we had no choice. And we were somewhere in Delaware where we couldn't see anymore. Just couldn't see. It was like, we got to find a hotel. So Matt was in the back of the Escalade with his Android. He says, okay, there's 2 hotels. One for $79 a night with 3 stars, one for $99 a night with 5 stars, and the 2 girls in the car said the $99 one. In the blizzard, we couldn't see. We made a decision what hotel to go to in the middle of a storm in a very dangerous situation before we ever walked in, before we knew anything else, the zero moment of truth. We had no contact with that brand. And here's how it looks. Today, there's some type of stimulus. So radio, TV, print, things are still relevant to dealers, but then people go online. And they're influenced by a number of things, and we're going to see what those things are. Unfortunately, because I looked at almost everyone in this room, if you believe that people are on the internet, you are not practicing it. So, you're hypocritical. So we have a room full of hypocrites. So I want to change that because I'm going to show you how much that's costing you. But something has to change today. And I think it's because you'll start to understand how important the zero moment of truth is. So let's take a look at this. Zero moment of truth, radio, TV, newspaper, still happening today. But look what they run into. The OEM site, third-party reviews, ratings, blogs, videos, testimonials. And so there's this huge influencing factor. Yet, when I look at advertising budgets, very little is invested in ZMOT activities. I was just in Oklahoma reviewing a dealer group, and there was one Jeep Chrysler Dodge store that in May they spent $150,000 on radio, June $75,000, in TV, $150 in TV, $75 the next month, $50 the next month, and they didn't have one difference in the number of cars they sold over those 3 months. How much were they spending on ZMOT? $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. So today, when they come into your dealership, and we talked about this earlier, there's a tremendous number of things that are influencing them. Some of you in this room, if you have a $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 budget, guess what that's doing? It's helping your largest competitor. Because what I saw today basically says, Brian, I'm spending money to tell in-market consumers that I suck, that I rip people off, my service department sucks, I lie, I cheat, I don't hold by warranties, and you're not doing anything about it. So today, the ZMOT is important. And then what happens is today when consumers experience your brand, then they go and contribute to the ZMOT pool. They go right to DealerRater. They go right to Google Places. They're on Yelp. They write a blog. I've seen sites like dealernamesucks.com. Have you ever seen those? Have you been a victim of that? A really angry consumer goes back and contributes to the zero moment of truth. Take a look at this. This was actually taken from the book. Has anybody walked into your dealership with printouts, comparisons, prices, invoice? Anybody walk in equipped talking like this? Happens all the time. Where did this information come from? This is a change. So what are popular zero moment of truth influencers? Obviously, here are just some. There is a whole universe of influences that contribute to the zero moment of truth. They have not talked to you. They have not walked into your dealership. And then for first moment of truth, when they do decide to reach out, companies like Active, Engage, and Contact at Once, and Steve and Joe are going to help you do a better job with that contact, with communicating with customers, following up on those leads. But a lot of you have heard about this. You know you need to have a strong BDC and process. You know you should be having chat to your website. But when I look at budgets, your investment in the zero moment of truth is pathetic, especially when we see that 97% of car buyers are influenced by ZMOT. And that's not my data, that's data from Google, and that's what we're going to take a look at. So first of all, I'm not saying that traditional advertising should stop. I'm just saying that ZMOT has to be on equal weight with the other aspects of your budget. So 76% of consumers are influenced by traditional stimulus, 84% by the ZMOT, and of course 77% by that first moment of truth when they finally experience the brand and touch it. But today, when I look at the composite, if those of you who go to 20 groups, it's not uncommon when you look at the composite and see that a dealer has 20% of their budget digitally. That's a joke. It's just a joke. You cannot be in the game. Yet, I would say that over 50% of the people in this room probably have 20% or less of their budget digitally. It just shows. So what else do we know? This 20% problem, I can't quite figure out why dealers are so reluctant to move off that number. But this group I just went out to in Oklahoma with 7 stores, every single one of their stores was under 20%. That's going to change, obviously. Here's the other thing. You say, well, Brian, in my area, in Minnesota, I don't believe in the zero moment of truth. Take a look. All age ranges show that the zero moment of truth factors, and I'll list some of those zero moment of truth factors, are the #1 influencer for all age groups. All of you have had experience with TV ads, and this is from Google's book on ZMOT. This is the heat map. It really ties into the presentation from Dadium about the timeline of when consumers start their research. And if you look at the heat map, right, if the higher the color in intensity, like the reds and oranges, and the higher in the chart, the degree of influence and the intensity, and you'll see right there, it's in the 2 to 3 month range, really hot, but very refined. Take a look at the influence of search engines. It's almost like your budget reflects the opposite. You really want to believe that this is television because that's what your budgets are saying, but it's bullshit. This is the search engine effect. This is the ZMOT. This is the B4U, YU conversation. This is the heat map. This is what Dadium's trying to show you. This is what's going on, yet we're blind to it. This is from the Google study again. Take a look at that. People are saying, Brian, I need sales today. But guess what? People were engaging in the brand months before today. Checking out your brand, what type of dealership you are. If 3 months ago they went on to Google and said, you suck, and 10 people said, suck, 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 you're probably out of the game for the next 3 months. Because they started and narrowed down and say, I'm never going to go to that dealership because I just saw a horror story online. So Google says, specifically for automotive, and this goes back to the Dadium piece, well, what was the most popular keyword? Ones with price. Well, when people are searching for cars, price, vehicle performance, and styling, so the real question is, are you providing any content on your website, on your blog, on your Facebook, on your Twitter feeds, on your vehicle detail pages that answer the questions that consumers really want to know? This is a very interesting thing because I'm a search engine optimization specialist, and during the Cash for Clunkers, I had the #1 website in the country other than the government site. We saw over 7 million hits to Cash for Clunkers facts because I acted quickly, I provided exact matching content, and today dealers have the tools. Dadium will give you tools, Google will give you free tools to tell you exactly what consumers are shopping, yet we don't want to provide them those answers. This was really wild that automotive shoppers visit or are influenced by 18 different factors before they bought a car, and 97% of them, 97% said that before they contacted the dealer, the zero moment of truth that influenced their buying decision. 97% of the people that are buying your cars are being influenced today by the ZMOT, yet I bet your budget doesn't even have 2% allocated to ZMOT. And that has to change. So this is what I tell our clients on how to win the zero moment of truth. Number one, you have to put someone in charge. This can't just be, now it could be an outside party because you do not want to have that responsibility, but there has to be someone in the dealership that understands that when someone is searching for a car that you sell in your marketplace, you need to be the brand authority, the automotive expert of sorts, and in a positive light should they find all good things about your dealership. Secondly, you need to find your zero moments of truth. You need to use Google's free tools and other analytical tools to see what consumers are searching for and to provide them with exact matching assets. Answer the questions that people are asking. Take the time. The earlier story about the #1 seller of fiberglass pools, I can give you 20 other examples, but one of recent, since it just happened last month, the #1 Fiat dealer in the United States is one of our clients, Fiat of Kirkland. As soon as Fiat was coming to the States and as soon as he thought he might have a franchise, we bought up a tremendous number of digital assets. We started blogging, and you can't type in anything really in the state of Washington about Fiat and not run into ZMOT experiences about their product. And then, once you know what people are talking about and you're willing to answer them, you need to know how to optimize them. And Larry Bruce was talking a little bit about that today. It's not just having content, but it has to have content that converts, meaning, yes, you can have reviews out there. Yes, you can have product pages. Yes, you can do how-to, but how do you get them to convert to a lead? Be fast. This is really, I told you about Cash for Clunkers. I told you about Raritan. How many of you are writing about 2012 models? Every single one of them. The first person who writes about a 2012 model, whether it's 2012 Chevy Silverado in St. Paul, Google will reward that probably for the lifetime of that page if it's optimized properly. Who is the first to write about new models, new services, new promotions? Don't forget video. I can't tell you how important and overlooked this is. Video could be for testimonials. It could be walk-arounds. Don't forget mobile. Wow. You saw the numbers earlier today. Zero moment of truth is happening in a car. It's happening while people are in your waiting room, in your own dealership, checking out your own reviews. Mobile technology and mobile presentation has to be part of your zero moment of truth. Open up all communication channels. If you want to win today's customer, if you don't have chat on your website, you are, I can't use the word anymore because I think it's no longer allowed to be used, but something is mentally wrong with you. In general, if you add 24/7 managed chat to your website, you'll see an increase of 40 to 50% more leads. So if you're not using chat, you are just missing the boat. If you're not allowing communication, bidirectional communication with text marketing. Engage in all channels. That means you should be doing paid search. You should be doing search engine optimization. You should be on shared forums, communities, and social media. You can't afford to miss the zero moment of truth investment. But most importantly, and Larry Bruce is one of the prophets of conversion, all of this makes no sense if it doesn't convert into a lead. But you know what the sad thing is? For most of you, what's out there is negative or nothing. So nothing converts to nothing. Negative converts to a great day for your competitor. That's what it means. Today, I just want to share with you why the Google-empowered consumer is your friend for the zero moment of truth. I'm going to be talking about Google Places optimization, but if you say, Brian, give me more specifics about this zero moment of truth, you have to have an active reputation management process. You have to start finding out which of your customers have a Google account so you could start leveraging Google +1. You must be leveraging paid advertising and SEO. So let's see why. Consumers are typing in the words like best and reviews. So pick your dealership name, if you dare, and add the word review to it and see what you find. For some of you, it will not be a pretty picture. That will also cause indigestion and not an orgasm. Google Places shows up almost 100% of the time when people search your dealership name. And for everyone in this room, one thing is sure. The #1 search phrase that drives traffic to your dealership is your own name or a slight variation. And if 100% of the time, the #1 keyword to your website, normally 1/3 of your traffic. So if you get 5,000 visitors a month, I bet 2,000 of them, 15 to 2,000 are using some variation or name 100% of the time, except for 1 or 2 people who are just completely asleep at the wheel, who don't have a Google Places account, and I'll expose them in my seminar at 3 o'clock. Google Places shows, and it's either showing something really good or not something very good. So here are some attendees that are engaged. This dealership in Coon Rapids, Nissan, they were on the list. Great job, guys. Really wonderful. 98 reviews, 5-star, really excellent. And then this was another dealership. Look at that. Excellent. September 1st, August 30th, August 30th, August 26th. This dealership is engaging in zero moment of truth activity. They too really believe it. Attendees that are not engaged, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. 1 star, 1 star. 2 stars. Notice all 3 of you did not respond to any of the negative reviews. And guess what? If you don't respond, what does the consumer believe? It's true. Can I just give you one thing that will save you thousands and thousands of dollars over the course of the year? You have to respond to every negative review. Here's how the answer goes. Hi, I'm Brian Pasch, General Manager of ABC Nissan. We read and take all consumer reviews seriously. I would like to resolve this matter with our dealership. Please call me at blah, 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 blah. That's all. You don't argue. You were not an hour and a half in the waiting room. It was only an hour. We have you on videotape. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. Google Places is probably the single most important ZMOT asset that influences consumer behavior. It is, by the way, regardless, I haven't seen one exception yet, unless you are slightly delayed and don't have a Google Places account, it's the #1 organic contributor referring site that has no effort. Craigslist is an effort process. This is a free, effortless process, and it's really your secondary website. Google Places is a key influencer for ZMI. So how does this play with the Googlized consumer? Google has changed search engine results. Wake up. It's not black and white anymore. It's filled with colors, and I don't see many people in this room using Google's Technicolor Dreamcoat. Point number 2, add it to your advertising strategy. What does it look like? Today, in your paid ads, you can have faces and colors. You can have yellow stars, and if anybody in advertising will tell you, yellow is a color that drives your eye to a portion of the page. And now, little heads can follow you around. Your friends, your circle of influence can show. So the Googlized consumer, this is your secret weapon. They can place a review directly on Google Places. They can tag your website and your pay-per-click ads with a +1. They will be able to also associate their profile with your business profile. But here's the key. They can now influence your search engine rankings. For the first time, instead of just hiring an SEO specialist, and we're not out of a job yet, but if you got 3G iPads in your dealership and focused on reviews and Google +1, you could start to jump ahead of your competitors in both your paid click results and your organic. How does that work? Well, is this a normal pay-per-click ad? That's a killer pay-per-click ad. That pay-per-click ad has my friends' pictures under it and shows the reviews. Now let's look at the boring, old, crappy AdWords ad that Honda's running. Ladies and gentlemen, in Minnesota, if you were shopping for a car, a plastic surgeon, something of importance, and your friends' pictures were underneath the ad, unless it was a plastic surgeon and they look like crap, and you saw 900+ reviews, are you clicking on that, or the boring competitor has none of your friends' endorsements and no reviews? The Googlized consumer is a game changer. So how do you do that? You get yourself an iPhone, an Android has the app as well, the Google Places app, but a 3G iPad is a little bit better. It takes all of about 60 seconds to post a review. You just have to ask your customers, do they have a Google account? And for most of you, it's 30%. I was talking to someone earlier. I said, how many people are coming through service? And he said, at least 1,000 a month. I said, how many cars are you selling? He says, 270. I said, great. In general, you have over 300 people a month that are happy in your dealership with a Google account that if you just inserted into Service and F&I a word track that asks them, hey, how was your experience here? Great. How did Bob treat you today? Great. Would you help Bob by posting a review? Do you have a Google account? Yes, I do. You hand them the iPad. Now you say, Brian, it won't work in my dealership. It has to work. Otherwise, you'll just eventually be wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Brickell Honda is one of our poster children of following that process, and today clicked over 1,000 reviews on Google Places. So you need to have those scripts into your dealership because it's going to change your paid advertising, your organic advertising, more importantly, all your ZMOT efforts. I just wrote an article about this. If you follow my blogs, you've probably already seen this. But this was, I have my own search phrases to dominate the world with, and automotive social media is one of them. There was TK Car Sites, and there was my blog when I wasn't logged into Google. Look at the difference when I am logged into Google. My website that wasn't even on page 1 is number 1. And then my blog is number 2, then some other people, and TK's down in position 5. Brian, what does this have to do with me selling cars? Hey, those 30% of the people in your showroom and service, you get them the +1 your website when they're in the showroom. Guess what? Google will give your website preferential treatment forever in the market for them when they're logged in. Do you understand how important that is? They bought a car from you, but you sell other cars, and they do searches, and all of a sudden your website is preferred. That website was on, in position 1, was on page 2. But because I went to it and +1'd it, and it had content, and it was +1 with others, it got raised in the search results. Ladies and gentlemen, this room, ZMOT, your customers each have hundreds of friends in their network. Once they +1 your website, their head will show under your listing to all their friends. Anybody give money to charities? How about if you say, yes, we have a new charitable policy, bye-bye, you want our donation, here's what you have to do. You have to do a link to our website, and would you please ask the members of your organization to go and +1 our site? Ooh, interesting things going on with that. So how do you +1 something? Once someone's logged into Google, and a lot of people are always logged into Google, the little +1 shows up right next to your paid ads or your regular ads. So very simply, with an iPad, after they post a review, you could just do a Google search on your website, hand them and say, would you just hit +1? Bottom line is, the 0 moment of truth, and we're just talking about Google Places this afternoon at 3 o'clock, is using a series of strategies that realize that before people even get into your dealership, they're reading a blog, they're on social media, they're reading third-party reviews, they're being influenced by videos. Now they're being influenced by their friends' photos, stars. You have to change the way your budgets are being allocated. It is that important. It comes down to education, and you need to invest in education. Today was not a cost of being out of the dealership. Today, anybody who goes back and significantly changes their reputation management process, their +1, and be the first in their market, you will call me up, and I'll just take a small partnership in the dealership. If you like digital marketing strategy, if you like the way I speak, and there's a whole lot of people who I associate with that we do great training. Right before NADA this year, we have the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. It's February 1 through 3. I encourage you to send your team out. And at 3 o'clock, we'll be doing how to make sure your Google Places listing is fully optimized. I only saw 1 or 2 out of the 80 dealerships whose Google Places listing was passing. So most of you had C or failing grades on Google Places. And that's where I am in the grid all the way on the right. These are some great sites to get information. They're not all mine. Dealer Refresh and Driving Sales are 2 great sites. If you are not members and actively reading articles on these sites, shame on you. A lot of free, great strategy for your dealership. So ZMOT, you're either in or out. That's where customers are being influenced. You either want them to come to your dealership and buy a car, or your ignorance of ZMOT is effectively saying, go shop at one of my competitor stores. And I don't think that's what you want. So thank you for your time.